Welcome back to Fox 12 Now. I'm Greg Nibbler, live here in our Fox 12 Oregon newsroom, and we appreciate you joining us wherever you're watching, however you found us, whether it's live or after the fact. Thanks for doing so. You can always share these segments as well. We frequently do have segments with the Oregon Zoo, and one of the things that they have there is a California condor program to help raise and hatch California condors that are then released back into the wild. Not in Oregon, back in California, actually. But for the first time in, I believe, about 122 years, a California condor has flown freely back into Oregon. I think that shows, hopefully, the sign of success for that program, but a big part of that is the Yurok Tribe in California, and we are joined now by the director of the Wildlife Department, if I got that correctly, for the Yurok. We're joined by Tiana, and thank you so much, for being here. I'm excited to talk about condors. Before we even get to that far, would you mind, telling us about yourself and about the department there and everything that you do?
Sure. Thank you so much for having me today. Again, my name is Tiana. I am a Yurok tribal member who grew up on the Yurok Reservation, particularly where our headquarters are in Klamath, California. Not Klamath Falls, which a lot of people are familiar with, but Klamath, California, which is at the other end of the river. And our department actually got started with the goal of California Condor Recovery Program back in the day. It was a decision that was made by our elders back in 2003 because of the very powerful cultural and spiritual importance that condor holds for us, or Preganish in the Yurok language. We got kind of our kickoffs with a feasibility study back in 2008 and went through many, many years of coordination and study and eventually released condors in Del Norte and Humboldt counties in 2022. And so we've been rocking on that for a while. Our department's grown quite a bit. We manage quite a few different species, conduct habitat restoration, community, wildlife coexistence. But condor was definitely the start of it all.
Well, Tiana, that's amazing that you've got, it took that many years, too, to get that going. I can't imagine what you went through to get to that point, to actually releasing them back out into the wild. But what were some of the biggest challenges of bringing back a species like this?
If this is going to be the case for any endangered species, but it's a complex process determining whether not only is this a good idea for the species, condor in this case, but also is it a good idea for the area. Endangered species can be complicated. There's a lot of feelings about them and things like that. But one of the real blessings from having a long buildup, I guess you might say, was an opportunity to build a lot of partnerships. So they're such a wide-ranging bird, 100 to 200 miles in a day. So we develop partnerships with our federal and state partners, our local industry, largely timber in this area when it comes to land management and ranching as well. We developed a great partnership with our local Sequoia Park Zoo to develop a treatment center. We're hand in hand with Redwood National and State Parks down here, who are our co-partners in what we call the Northern California Condor Restoration Program. We always say it takes a village to raise a condor. So I think that's probably been the most time-consuming thing that we've done here, but it's just been an amazing experience all the way through.
100 to 200 miles a day, that's a lot of range, a lot of places they could be flying over and interacting with. In building all those partnerships, what has been the biggest misconception that people have had about the California condor and the return of it like this?
There's been a lot of what. My favorite is probably concerns that, and I don't mean to laugh it off, but it's just what I know about condors. They're an obligate scavenger, so they only eat things that are already dead on the ground. We definitely face some concerns over people being concerned that a condor would swoop down and, steal their dog or something like that, which is not the nature of a condor. They're not built for it. Other concerns more associated with the fact that you're talking about bringing in a new endangered species have kind of corresponded with, are there going to be any impacts to land management or to my businesses? One of the great things about condors is being a scavenger, being very intelligent in terms of birds and very curious. They actually like disturbance. A lot of endangered species, you don't want to mess with their habitat or their homes. Their habitat is so large, having such a large flight capacity. But B, being scavengers, they like chaos. They like to go where the dead things are, which is usually where the chaos is. So of all the endangered species out there, they're probably one of the easiest to work with when it comes to industry and things like that. So just talking to our partners about, well, how do we maneuver around this, was probably one of the bigger complications.
They're not going to swoop down and steal your child, is what you're saying.
No, they're really not. I would not, go up and try and pet one. They are a wild animal, but all in all, they tend to be pretty reticent about humans.
When you look at what happened here, can you tell us, about this flight back into Oregon and how was that tracked?
So all of our birds have both a satellite transmitter and a radio transmitter. And it was really the satellite transmitters that came into play here. And they're exactly for what happened here. We monitor them daily from what the satellite hits come in to say, okay, so where are they going? Whose property are they on? Like, do we have a chance for a partnership there? Have they found some sort of resource maybe that we're interested, or maybe some sort of threat? And so in those kind of daily checkups, we noticed that they had taken a long trip out to the east, to about Redding, California, that area. And we started looking a little bit farther out in terms of days around that, and we saw that not only had they gone to Redding, but they had bopped their way up to just south of Medford. From there, they went down through Cave Junction, which is a little town just north of the Oregon border, back into California, and then bopped up to Brookings. And so we were able to track them by these point locations all the way through their trip.
Were they traditionally was there, I guess, traditional range part of Oregon?
Absolutely. And not everybody knows this, but historically, their range was not only in California, though they're called the California condor, but through much of the Rockies, all the way up to British Columbia, and then all the way down to Baja, Mexico. So they've been very expansive historically. They are very adaptable. Everything from the desert to our lush redwoods to, the frozen north and things like that. They're a really adaptable species.
Does this mean that there is a chance then we could start to see more of this happen in Oregon and more expansion up into that territory?
Over time, it's probably pretty inevitable. And that's been the way where other condor reintroduction projects have kind of played out. They were historically kind of, if people don't know, almost went entirely extinct with just 22 individuals left at one point. As reintroductions have been going on throughout California and Arizona, we can see where they're kind of filling in their old haunts where they used to fly. I expect that they'll continue to expand northward. I wouldn't say it's going to happen tomorrow, but one really cool thing about condors is that they're very social and they learn from each other. So we only had one individual, one of our youngest females actually, B9 is what we know her as, that's her tag number. And so I expect she's going to show her friends at some point. It'll probably be a while before they establish a presence, but I would encourage people to keep looking to the skies down there and see if they can spot one.
She's going to come back and tell everybody else, so that's
Exactly.
good.
Oregon is beautiful, so she'll probably tell all her friends and tell them to go visit.
Talking about Oregon, how important is that partnership with the Oregon Zoo and the program that they have up here?
The Oregon Zoo has been one of our strongest partners since day one. It took quite a bit of groundwork, I think, for us to get this project off the ground, to get the right sort of people invested in the project, including some of our federal partners who, they have to be very conscious of who they actually coordinate with on this. They don't give condors to just everybody. But the Oregon Zoo actually hosted some of our earliest kind of coordination meetings and community outreach meetings. We've received condors from the Oregon Zoo. Actually, 2 of our original birds in our first cohort we released back in 2022 came from the Oregon Zoo. They help front an incredibly important component of condor success, which is actually a lead-free ammunition outreach program. Lead is unfortunately one of the biggest problems for condors out in the wild. They didn't even know it was an issue till 1990s, but the soft nature of lead when it impacts an animal for hunting causes it to scatter throughout the body cavity and, more importantly, into the gut pile, which is sometimes is often left behind and is good food for scavengers like condors, but not when it's tainted with lead, unfortunately. And so there's a really great program that they help front there to help just get the word out there that not only is there a great alternative, primarily copper, but there are these sometimes unknown and unintended consequences of using lead. And so it's rampant throughout the condor recovery program of like our own program is called Hunters as Stewards. This one's the North American Non-Lead Partnership that I'm talking about. Um, that we really want to reach a hand out to hunters and the strong conservation ethic that is within the hunting community and say, hey, here's some information you might be interested in. Can you make that transition to copper ammunition? So they've just been an amazing partner. They've offered us training opportunities. I'm going on too long, but we just love the folks at Yurok and Sioux is the point of the story.
Oh no, that's great. I mean, it's always fascinating too to hear, about how that work is directly affecting, this actual population down there in California and just what what it can mean. What do you think is the most important thing that people should know about California condors and this recovery effort?
I mean, I think people who have been invested in them for a long time already recognize that they're an incredible success story. They went from 22 individuals to now 607, about half of which are actually free flying. The rest are in the breeding and rearing facilities. But there's this idea, certainly when they almost went extinct, that they were a creature of the past. They were a dinosaur. But as I said before, they're incredibly curious, they're incredibly smart, they're incredibly adaptable. And unfortunately, their near extinction was largely human caused from people either directly killing them before the Endangered Species Act or the lead issue or DDT was causing reproduction. So I think that I just really encourage people to learn more about what an incredible species condor is, and how adaptable and how well it's been thriving since we've given it a chance, basically, and just maybe become as impressed with them as I am.
Well, I think it's amazing, and that's fantastic. That we're getting some visitors into Oregon, but just that overall recovery. I mean, from 22 individuals to 600 some, that's a good sign. It seems like, and shows all that hard work that you've put in and everybody else has put in, who's been trying to bring these birds back. It's just amazing. Anything else that you think is important for people to know?
I know. Just if anybody's particularly interested in our program, you can check us out at yuroktribe.org/wildlife, and we also maintain a Facebook page where we do updates. If anybody wants to see our condors, you can Google Yurok Condor Cam, and you can check them out at our release and management facility. And that's been a really great experience for a lot of folks.
I will be checking that out after this. So, Tiana, thank you very much for joining us. I appreciate your time and your knowledge and just all the work that you're doing there and sharing it here with us on Fox 12 Now.
Absolutely. Thanks for the chance to talk condors.
Anytime. And thanks everybody for watching. We're going to take a quick break. We've got a little bit more here before our 4 p.m. news takes over. We just have to go to this. So thanks for watching. Back in a couple with more Fox 12 Now.